Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with If I Could Choose Only One Work by composer X, it would have to be work P. Well, composer X is our good friend Arnold Bax, and all the Baxians on planet Baxia are celebrating. I know that. Hi there up on Baxia. How y'all doing? It's been a while, hasn't it? Now, I've talked about this work a lot because it happens to be a personal favorite, but I also think it is the most typical and ideally perfect work of Bach's that is not a tone poem, because we're doing a symphony. I mean, we could do a tone poem because Bach was in some ways more of a tone poet than a symphonist. Even in his symphonies, you could argue that very well. But I want to do a symphony because I just think this is such a great piece and it should be played every 5 minutes, and it never is, probably because it ends quietly. Symphony number 2. I mean, what a glorious, glorious piece of music is the Second Symphony. Amazing orchestration. It's full of juicy tunes. It's in cyclical form, which is really kind of handy. And it's not like so much Bach is the guy. Sort of it doesn't have its thematic process obscured by so much chromatic sludge and instrumental clutter and filigree that you can't follow what's going on in it. It's actually very clear formally, which is absolutely wonderful in my view. I mean, the opening, it has, some really, really gripping ideas. Boom, boom, da, dun, 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 da, and then you've got that amazing, amazing sort of introduction where the horns and parallel fifths or fourths or whatever they're in come in with the celeste and the harp in the background, and they're going dum ba da 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 dum bum 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 ba ba da 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 dum ba ba bum ba. And that becomes, of course, the opening theme. Da 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 dum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba da dum da dum bum bum chugga 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 da 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 dum bum ba ba dum bum ba. Oh, it's just great. I mean, you don't usually run around humming Bach's symphonies, but number 2 is hummable. It's really, really hummable. But here's my point, the point that I want to make to the evil god Cancresans, who wants to destroy all of classical music, but for one typical work per composer. Bach wrote a lot of other music, obviously with tons of orchestral music. And is it all equally worth listening to? Probably not. But it's characteristic. He had a very, very personal style. And beyond that, if you can listen to one of the easier ones, it's an entree into some of the music that's a little bit more, well, just shall we say, abundant thematically and orchestrally and contrapuntally. And this symphony is perfect because it never talks down. It doesn't dumb down his style in any way. It's one of his most instantly passionate and accessible works. But it also tells you what his style is, how his music works, how it goes, and what it's doing. And because of that, I think it's an absolute ideal way to get to know his music. It's an ideal way for Cancresans to get to know his music, because I asked him and he had no idea who Bach was. I said, what do you mean you have no idea who Bach is? You're a god. You know everything, right? He said, well, I don't pay attention to everything. That's something we need to keep in mind. It's a distinction that the theologians seldom make, which I think is really very significant, which is, even though your God may be, omniscient and omnipotent and all those things, that doesn't mean they're paying attention. It just means it's there in the library if they want to look at it, right? So apparently he was not a fan of Bach's music. He wasn't really aware of it. He paid no attention to all the people on the planet Baxia who annually, offered a sacrifice to the god Cancresans of kippers and mashed potatoes or whatever they do up there. And he really didn't know. So this is his opportunity to get to know Bach in, I think, his most alluring possible way, other than Tintagel, which is the other super duper obvious choice. And once he gets to know him, I expect him to say, hey, I want to hear more of that guy. He's really, really interesting. There's just an enormous, rich, juicy fund of voluptuous, exciting, colorful music that I can't possibly get rid of, because he'll be fascinated, as will you. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.